Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe from our Lagos studio.
What a greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan.
Austin, yes, today it's a loaded package as usual. We will be dwelling more on the National Sports Festival because right now at the moment, Bayelsa, they're running away with the gold medals. They are on number 30. I'm talking about gold medals, not all medals, 30 gold medals so far. In all, they have 55 medals. Edo has 61, but only 7 gold medals. We'll dwell more on the National Sports Festival, different events surrounding it, and we have a special guest in the studio that will be throwing more light on some of the events currently going on with the National Sports Festival. And also, yes, the Europa League is going to be getting our attention. You'll be hearing from the coaches, the winner, and of course the loser. You know that the loser will have a long way to getting back into the Champions League and be competitive once again, especially after losing that 100 million quid. That's what you get when you get into the Champions League. Yes, we'll be talking about the Super Eagles list. Ahmed Musa is back in the squad, but he's only playing just at the Unity Cup. It would not be with the Eagles when they play the friendly against Russia on June the 6th. We'll be talking about his return to the Super Eagles squad after more than 1 year. Victor Osimhen, Demola Lookmo, they are not in any of the list that was released by coach Eric Chell. So we'll talk about that on the show tonight. And of course, yes, Austin, the President of Federation Cup. I know you love upsets. Abakaliki, they are still in the business. They are in the final. Who could have thought that Kwara United and Abakaliki FC will be playing in the final of the President Federation Cup? When you have that kind of cup, it's always upset, upset, and upset. So that's what's going on. That we'll also talk about that on the show tonight. But first, Austin, you know the National Sports Festival is getting us talking. I love the fact that Akwa Ibom, they're also trying in the bit. But surprisingly, you have some states, Oyo, Osun, these states are also rubbing shoulders with the biggest states that are usually known for the sports. So let's get... Okay.
Yeah, go. Let's get in. Let's get in. I couldn't wait to get.
All right. Let's get into the business, because right here in the studio we've got Kweku Tandoh. He happens to be the executive secretary of the Gateway Games Local Organizing Committee, joining us live in the studio. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you, Cecilia. It's nice to see you after quite a while. Austin, how are you doing too as well?
I'm awesome. Last time I saw you was at the Olympics in Paris. Good to see you again on the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
All right, now let's get into the business. Yes, the National Sports Festival, Austin. I mean, we've seen so many things going on. The opening ceremony, yes, it was a spectacular thing. Apart from the time wasted, I wasn't really happy about. But every other thing went well. But so far, so good. The issues about doping, there's some issues about some facilities, some athletes not happy about. What's the update concerning all this?
Well, I don't know which one you want me to start off with the... But in terms of the facilities, I actually have not heard any complaints about the sports facilities that have been provided, because I know that the quality of the facilities we've had has encouraged the athletes to put up great performances so far. We have a brand new 50-meter swimming pool, like a warm-up pool, brand new facilities, fully refurbished facilities at Alake Sports Center and all that. So in terms of facilities, I know that we have done quite a bit and provided facilities that would really ensure that the athletes put up great performances.
Okay, it's nice to know that. What about the issue of some athletes that are not competing because of the, testing positive for some drugs, doping issues?
Yes, the Nigeria Anti-Doping Organization, NADO, released a list of athletes that had been put on the banned list. I think perhaps the list was released quite late. Because don't forget that athletes' registration for the National Sports Festival ended, I think, on the 10th of May. And so federations and various states had registered all their athletes, only for the prohibited lists by prohibited substances list to come out on the 13th of May. So it was too late to withdraw those athletes from the delegate registration meeting. So unfortunately, they've been registered, but they cannot compete because they're on the list. But what this means is that it has deprived those states of having opportunity to replace them if NADO had released the list much earlier before the deadline for delegate registration.
Okay, now in that situation, is there something they could have done better? I understand releasing it on time, but also if these athletes were already on the list, is it that they tested positive for the drugs before the game started, or they were tested while the game was about to start, or they've been banned before?
No, they were not. They were tested, and the results probably did not come out on time.
On time, okay.
So it's the list that they work with.
Okay, but did we have any athlete that was banned, maybe facing 2 or 3 year ban, that was part of those athletes?
No, I don't think so.
No, that didn't happen, because that's some controversy there. Oh, Austin, now you want to ask some questions concerning this?
Yeah, it's Kweku, Tandoh. I like the fact that we're proactive, particularly with this anti-doping campaign. But let's talk about the mandate that the president gave to the National Sports Commission. Build me a sports economy. Now, I've heard Governor Dakwa Abiodun re-echo that mandate. I've heard Shehu Diko also saying the same thing. But if you look at the National Sports Festival and its potentials, can it build us that sports economy that the president said we should build?
Definitely, and it's something, like I always say, we're not reinventing the wheel. This is something that has been done in other climes all over the world, using sports as a tool for economic empowerment, economic development, and all that. What it means is that we need to harness the various aspects that would make sure that we develop this sports economy. Right now in Ogun State, for example, the MKO International Sports Arena is no longer just a stadium. It's no longer just a football field with athletics track around it. It now has a swimming pool, it has a handball court, it has tennis courts. One of the plans that His Excellency Governor Dakwa Abiodun is to ensure that that facility becomes like a one-stop shop, not just for sports, but also for entertainment, for hospitality, and for corporate presence. And if you look at, for example, the Amsterdam Arena in Netherlands, it accounts, football and other sports accounts just for about 4 hours a day or 4 hours a week in terms of what it contributes in the economy. But all day round and all week round, there are other economic activities that are taking place in that arena, that builds up the economy. It's something that we can emulate, and it's been done all over the world. So it's definitely very possible.
I'm concerned about us making progress, because it's very important we do that. You were a big part of Edo 2020, and I know you understand the sports ecosystem in Nigeria. When you look at the Gateway Games compared with all the previous editions, are we sincerely making progress?
Oh, yes. There's so many areas that I can say we're making progress. The opening ceremony, for one, was one that, I mean, the whole country and even the whole world is still talking about. We're making progress also in terms of the quality of the sports infrastructure that is provided for the National Sports Festival. The quality has definitely gone up, and so that's a plus. If you look also at various other aspects, we're making progress. For the first time, I believe, in the history of the National Sports Festival, we're having a games village that accommodates all the athletes in one location, just like you find in the Olympic Games, you find in the Commonwealth Games. So that's also another plus. Also, the National Sports Commission has put up an app, and honestly, that's a development that I find very interesting and very exciting. There's now an app that you can go on to get up-to-date medal results, medal standings by state, by athlete, and so on. You click on a medal winner, you see the picture and all that. So that's also a development. And there's so many other areas that we can say, yes, we're definitely making an improvement in the quality of what we put up for the National Sports Festival.
Let me wrap up with Cecilia, let me just wrap up with this. explain the concept of the invited junior athletes. I've listened to Bukola Olopade talk about it. I like it, but let our viewers understand more the invited junior athletes and how are they doing at the games?
Yes, it's a concept that I also find quite interesting and exciting. The invited junior athletes are actually athletes that have gone through the national youth games. They were discovered at the last youth games and put together over a period of time, coached in camp and preparing for the games. I see it as a bridge between the national youth games and the National Sports Festival. These athletes, if they were in their individual states, probably would not be able to attend the National Sports Festival because, like we know, states want to win
Some of them may not be
and at all costs. They will not be picked. People, they will go abroad and go and bring in already established athletes to come and represent them. So these young athletes now have a platform to compete at the National Sports Festival. And they're doing well already. I think they have about 2 gold medals, a few silver medals and all that. But what it does most importantly, it allows them to begin to compete on a higher level. I'm sure these athletes, when they now begin to go maybe for the African Youth Games or the World Youth Games, the experience that they will have gathered here competing against elite athletes at senior level will definitely do them a world of good. So it's an idea that I like, and it's an idea that I think would help to bridge the gap between the athletes discovered at the youth games and then the elite senior athletes.
Same with the athletes now. I mean, we've had this issue of poaching, where you have a state go to other states or athletes who represent a state this festival, and the next one they represent another state. Are there things that can be put in place to ensure maybe these athletes stay in their state, or is it a plus for the games itself?
Well, in terms of sports development, I don't think it augurs well, this crisscrossing and all that. For me, it's also a sign that perhaps our coaches need to be a bit more serious in grooming athletes rather than just waiting to pick athletes from various states or the other. One of the things that's done, it's already there. It's in the rules and regulations, this 12-month eligibility rule. But I think the enforcement has not been done. It's not been well enforced, whereby an athlete must stay with a state for at least 12 months before competing for a national in the National Sports Festival. I think we're not enforcing it enough. That is something that would help to stem the tide of this crisscrossing unnecessarily. Sometimes you find that an athlete is collecting money from 2 states or 3 states, for example. But the National Sports Commission this time and the MOC has put a system in place, a technological system that detects double registration, even at DRM level. So rather than athletes and coaches coming to the National Sports Festival and then you have a deluge of appeals and protests and all that, it has been dealt with at the DRM level, and all such athletes that have been found to have double registration or collecting money from 2 states have been automatically disqualified, and then the number of them that are here at the games has been very minimal. So it's something that the Sports Commission must be commended for, using the technology to identify these athletes and then removing them from the games completely.
Okay, and another issue, maybe they can introduce something like when you have an athlete who has competed for Lagos State for this sports festival, for instance, 2024 Gateway Games, and then in the next one in Enugu, you're having that athlete competing for Delta. Can those athletes be disqualified? Because when you registered for a state for a year, then the next, you end up having one athlete who has competed for 4 different states in 4 different national sports festivals. Is there a framework, is there a rule that can be brought in to actually, prevent these athletes? Because once we have the rules there, we'll know that coaches and, of course, the State Sports Council will be able to groom athletes for different editions.
Well, honestly, for me, I don't think it's something that, if it is done, as long as that 12-month eligibility rule if after 2 years you move to another
That's
state.
it.
What
That's
I
it.
would
Okay.
want is a situation where the coaches develop new athletes.
They won't develop, because if you don't have that, but they won't develop. They can easily go to their states. We know Lagos, for instance. I mean, Lagos produce plethora of talent. You go to Delta, they do that. You go to Edo, they do that. So when they now don't have space to compete, they'll move to other states. And so these states who are not developing, because someone was asking me, how come you're having Oyo and Osun State actually having more medals than some states who are developing athletes? I was like, I really don't know. Like, is it poaching? I said, I can't answer that.
No, it's not poaching, because I can tell you that I think from Edo 2021,
yes,
I noticed a developmental trend in Oyo State. And I told some people that watch out for Oyo State, because I saw that they're beginning to put something together in terms of development. I think our coaches just need to be a bit more challenged. Our coaches and sometimes even the state administrators seem to be a bit too lazy. They want ready-made athletes, they want to get gold medals and so on and so forth. And they have neglected the basic concept of sports development. We need to ensure that that is the norm. And I think that is something that the youth games also tries to address. You know, if you don't have athletes coming through the youth system, how are you going to get athletes at senior level? So yes, a bit more work needs to be done there. But for me, I think the most important thing is, again, what is your objective for the National Sports Festival? That's why you talk about whether it's a closed festival or an open festival or an age group festival. All that is determined by your objective. If we set the right objective, then we look at the right template to work towards achieving that objective.
So we can actually leave it open and have athletes foreign, and everybody is open for everyone.
If that is the objective, like making it your Olympics or something like that. But if it's developmental, then you need to start looking at other ways and of achieving that target. An open festival, for example, will not support a developmental strategy. You may begin to look at a closed festival, or a festival where you say, okay, if you have competed 2 or 3 times in the National Sports Festival, you are no longer eligible to compete. So again, it depends on the objective that you have for the games, and that will determine the route that you take.
Interesting.
It's important. Yeah, it's important we have a look at the policy document again and ensure that we live with the core mandate of it, you know, being tied around development, sports discovery and development. Dr. Kweku, I know you're big with table tennis, so let us know what's going on with table tennis at the National Sports Festival. Who is bossing it?
Well, table tennis has not started yet. It's starting on Saturday, and we're expecting quite a number of interesting times in table tennis. Some of the athletes that have just competed for Nigeria at the World Championships in Doha will be back in the country, I think, today or tomorrow. So we're going to see some of them competing for state. So table tennis will definitely be interesting, and we look forward to good games beginning on Saturday.
We can't wait to have that. Okay, let me just, before you go, you know, you talk about you having an app, just click on it, and then the updates are coming fast and things. The last time we checked, Bayelsa didn't have 30, but right now, if you take a look at the medals table, these are the top 5 you have. Now, Bayelsa State, they are on 30 gold medals. Number of silver happen to be 2 of them, bronze 11, and they are on 53 at the moment. You have Delta 20, 8 silver, 25 bronze medal, and they're also on 53. I think Bayelsa has moved to 55. Bayelsa has moved to 55 gold medals, so it's just coming up like that. Rivers State are also boxing it. 11 gold medals, 9 silver, 8 bronze, and 28 in total. They have Oyo, 9 gold medals, and in all they have 29. They have Osun State. This is a surprise one. 8 gold medals, 1 silver, 1 bronze, because they are on 10. So if you go further down, that's where you see Edo State having 61 medals, but they've won just 7 gold medals. Is this going to change anytime soon, sir?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. The big games are starting. We still have wrestling coming up. We have athletics, table tennis, like you mentioned. The big scoring teams, the para events will also be starting. I think we have about 104 gold medals in all the para games combined together. So the tables will change. There will be a lot of topsy-turvy going on in the games. But like you rightly pointed out, if you look at Edo State, for example, Edo State has 61 medals, but only 7 of them are gold. We have about 27 silver medals. For me, it portends that the quality of the team must be good, but one or two technical areas need to be polished for those silver medals to be turned to gold. It's quite interesting, you know, and they have the highest number of medals right now, Edo State. 61. But unfortunately, only 7 of them are gold.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for finding time to join us in the studio tonight.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you, Austin. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Always a delight. Thank you.